Hey guys, my name's Kieran. Welcome to the Deckstar Plans channel. Today, what we're going to be doing is going over the new set Homeworlds. I'm joined with Kyle from the team. How you doing, Kyle?
Doing pretty good.
Ready to look at some new set when the old one hasn't even started yet?
Yeah. That's our modern TCG trend. What new
Exactly.
set comes out, new ones start getting spoiled.
So yeah, we're going to go through everything that's been released at the minute. There's currently going to be spoilers coming out, I believe, this week. So be on the lookout for our shorts. We're going to be covering them as they come out every single day. But to start it off, we've got a new mechanic, Fortify. What this does is you can put this as an upgrade on your base, and it's essentially can give you time to either give units minus attack, it can kill units, it can help sort of stop this damage. What do you think of this new mechanic?
I like any mechanic that slows the game down to a moderate pace. I don't like when it gets to like grindy, mill you out control, but I do like when it de-incentivizes aggro and lets these back and forth games actually play out. And I'm really looking at the trap field. The trap field looks really good. 3 damage for 2, and
Yeah.
like so inexpensive.
Yeah,
So inexpensive.
I mean, this completely changes deck building. You know, when you look at hard control, when you look at even just some aggro um, matchups, you might even want to put in a couple of these trap fields, a couple of these, carbonite chambers, just to stop some of the big units um, going through there. I personally, just going off of a sort of gameplay perspective, I love the design. I think this sort of the design of these upgrades at the bottom. I think this is the first time we've had a design card that you can play that doesn't have plus or minus attack.
I think they realized after the plus zeros on like condemn, it just doesn't really look right. It looks a little
Yeah,
weird. Like I've had new players go like, "Why does this upgrade give me plus zero?" Well, then you have to start explaining. This makes perfect sense though.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, you got like the first card, Alliance Shield Generator, that can completely stop aggressive negotiations, because you can prevent all of it. Um, it says if an attached base would deal 5 or more damage, prevent that damage. If you do, defeat this upgrade and draw a card. I mean, that just
And
completely
five is
stops.
yeah, 5 is definitely not nothing. You're
Yeah,
you're telling the opponent to do a sizable chunk of damage, and at any time, I'm just going to cancel it.
exactly. So I think it's going to be a great part of the game. I think it's going to completely change people's perspective on how they play, how they build. I think hard control is going to be sort of creeping up with these sort of things, and this new leader that we're going to talk about. Going on to the starter leaders, Chewbacca has made a return. We had one leader in set one, I believe. That was the only Chewbacca we've had. Is that true?
No, we had one in the credit set, Lawless, the Chewie that threw around damage and made credits.
Oh, my bad. Well, we've had one usable Chewbacca. Could we have seen
Uh-huh.
another one? So his action is pay to attack with the unit. Even if it's exhausted, it cannot take bases for this attack. Now, looking at the trend of leaders paying resources, pretty much every leader you have to pay 2 for, you can't use, or is unusable when it comes to the Premier format.
Yes.
Do you?
So I've played Captain Rex for a very, very long time trying to make that work. Two
Yeah,
costs make a 2/2. That's so way too much. Bo-Katan, 2 costs make a 2/2. Still too much. In this case, I am not sold. If it said pay 1 attack with a unit,
mm,
I would like the idea because you could play a Chewy red deck, play someone like Wicket, attack something, pay 1, attack again. The idea is you could hit base while controlling board, but 2 is just probably too much. We'll see though. I think 2 is probably too much.
yeah. I mean, I believe every time they come to design a new card, design a new leader, they always start with it's free. It's a free action, and then depending on how overpowered it is, I feel like if it was free, it would be quite overpowered. Um,
Insanely.
but I think two just puts it over that edge of not being usable. When it comes to
Yep.
Premier Limited, I can see it being used. Sometimes you got a curve fillers, you don't get your 3 drops, or you don't get enough 4 drops, and then this can sometimes you've got a nice overwhelm unit can help with pushing that damage. Its leader
Enjoy it in your
side,
pre-release decks.
exactly, every pre-release. So it's a 5 cost 3/6. You know, this stat line seems to be the norm when it comes to 5-cost leaders now. But the action is the same, but free. Do you feel like it's going to change the deck or the leader at all?
So I think a lot of these fives fall victim to that 3/6 change. You look at Mother Talzin and stuff like that, and the old Quinlans.
Hmm.
The 5-cost 3/7 stat line is just the default to make a leader over the top. If you're a 3/6, I believe you're actually fair. All the
Yeah.
3/7s for fives are no longer fair for how this game is played. So I don't really worry too much about that because as sets rotate out, you're more balanced to be a 3/6. My worry as well is just you might not have a leader ability for the first couple turns, and that probably is what hurts it even more. But I do like the idea of flip action for free, but you also start talking about inefficiency. It might just be inefficient at this point.
Yeah. I mean, there's some nice upgrades that go with this deck that we're going to sort of showcase and see a little bit later, which I feel like can maybe help this deck push if you're getting this, you know, not on 5. But yeah, I can't see this being as good as some of the most recent starter leaders. You know, you have Boba being a starter leader. What was the other one that was really good recently? Luke. I just can't see it being in that realm. But who knows? There may be cards that come out that can completely change this. Stack this with overwhelm units. You possibly are looking at a really broken deck. But 2 cost on the leader side is pretty. Going on next to pretty much, I feel like the best leader we've ever had, only because it says our name. A bit biased. Grand Moff Tarkin. So Grand Moff Tarkin uses the Fortify upgrades that we've just shown at the start. Makes use of this new mechanic. Essentially, you can play any Fortify upgrade in the game. Doesn't matter if it's hero, doesn't matter if it's red, green, whatever, you can play it. It comes out as a 9 deploy leader. The 212, it turns into the Death Star. Now, if you were at Vegas, if you were at the Galactic Championship, this got, I think, the biggest cheer I've ever seen in my life. So many people were ecstatic about it. I personally, and me and the team, were going mental when this was released because we've been asking this for a while. We've been looking at the Death Star. We've been thinking, how is this going to be implemented? Is it going to be a base? Is it going to be a win con in a certain thing? But they've essentially added that to a leader with the stats 212 and the text that reads, when the regroup phase starts, you may defeat a base with 10 or less remaining. Thoughts, Kyle? Is this the best leader?
I am in love with this card for multiple reasons. So I mentioned how I like that trap field, and that trap field is red, white, hero. And if the Fortify mechanic is actually decent, you could do one of the more egregious decks like Tarkin, blue, red, villainy, hard control, fortify everything you do, play Moroks, play your single reactors. And the best part about this is old Palpatine from set 1 would win the game by hitting you with your own units. He doesn't have to. All he has to do is naturally chip damage you out, and every single person in the game is only playing with 20 life now. Because if I'm playing against you and I play an HK and I remove 4 or 5 threats and little chip damage here, little chip damage there, devastator you, I'm now going to flip my Tarkin. And if you don't kill a 212 in one action, you are done for. And I'll tell you what, if I'm hard controlling you, it's not going to be easy to kill a 212.
Yeah.
So I am going to try this. It is going to be toxic, but it is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be, as soon as this is available, I'm going to be testing it. I'm going to be looking at ways to build. I think the red blue villain is probably the best way to start, just because we've got so many good units that have been coming out in the last set. And it's got natural things in there that can help sort of get you to that 9 cost, get you actually chipping away, as you said, with HKs, with single reactors. The one thing that, when looking at this, you will need to play units because it can fall into victim of Governor Shuttle. If you're playing such hard control, you flip a Governors, you're going to feel pretty bad.
I think that's the modern climate of the game, though. Control at this point will be playing units, and I as a principal, every single time I see a new blue leader, I look at Anakin and see how I can cheat with him. Dryden being blue, cheating cards, even Mando doing it in his ways. Like, and this deck's perfect at it as well. You fortify, heroic fortify, and now you have an Anakin that does -3/-3 twice. So it's amazing, and I really want to try this.
Yeah, I mean a 12 booty is pretty big. It's not really much you can do in terms of damage for that. So I'm excited, hoping this is going to be meta because this is going to be a deck that I want to be playing, and as a team, I feel like we need to make it the best. Death Star, Deck Star plans, we got to do it.
It's our mascot.
Exactly. So going over to sort of these new mechanics, we've got some new tokens that are being available. We've got a Beast, which is a 3/3, on its own. There's no raid, there's no shielded. It's just a 3/3 on its own. And then we have a weakness token. So this is a -1/-1 with some great art from the Clone Wars. I love this episode. Some very annoying person. But the Beast token being the biggest token they've ever printed. If this is going to be an easy way to create them, like we've seen with Spires, like we've seen with Mandalorian tokens, this is going to be pretty great, right?
It has to be. I mean, 3/3 is a really good stat line for a token. Now, if they go way too conservative and make only 4 drops and 5 drops with like weird activated make these tokens, it'll be a lot worse. But if we see any sort of 3-cost do a thing, make a beast, I'm listening because we need bodies for Chimera to sack that ability. We need bodies that just generally clog up the board and work with go wide effects. And the way they usually do tokens is they have a card that enters and makes. So you usually get 2 bodies in one. So I'm really hoping to see all of that. And that'd be really cool making a 3/3 token.
Yeah, I mean, it gets out of the realm of like Lawbringer. Obviously, it doesn't have an aspect, so we can't call it. It can get out of range of the new Mandalorian tokens. So they just don't trade easily. I think 3/3 stat line is going to be great. What we've seen recently with some units and stuff, that the higher you go up in the cost count, the more tokens you can make. We've seen Pre-Vizsla that can make as many tokens, up to 6 tokens, I believe, or probably even more, depending on how it sort of goes. So I think they're going to be great. I mean, the Beast's art itself is amazing. I really love this design. Hopefully, this becomes quite cool. I can see this being, a leader. Hopefully, the leaders that they pick, for this token is going to be useful, because we had like Bo-Katan last set, hasn't really, found its way in the meta. Hopefully, these get more play outside of just units.
So if we found a leader that said pay 2, make a 3/3 beast, would that be worth it? The pay 2 moniker?
I think so. I think 3/3 stat line, you'd pay a 2-cost 3/3 on one all the time.
And you'd like Battlefield Marine on turn 10. I mean, Battlefield Marine on turn 10 is just control pressure.
Exactly. So I feel like, paying 2 for this is not bad at all. I've always said about these tokens, which they've done with like the Mandalorian, is raid isn't a great trait, especially on a token.
It's not.
So I'm glad that they've put these as static stat lines. I just need to see how they come up with it, because this could be a great part of the game.
The last note on this too, I've been eyeing up a card for a while now called Pounce.
Yeah.
It says target creature gets +4/+0 and attacks. It is a trick. It never really popped off, I believe, during Secrets. And if we get a large amount of creatures, I like the idea of a surprise strike that deals 4 damage. I've been looking at this card for the past like 4 sets, and I'm like, when can I play it? When can I play it? When can I play it? Nope, not yet. Not yet.
I mean, you've got
And
like
we'll
the Kanan leader, right? That cares about creatures. So that can be something that comes up. I know, like our teammate Silk, got second with it, a couple of sets ago. So maybe that comes back, because I've always loved that leader. It's just never had the right tools to get there, and maybe this is what unlocks the deck to become the next thing. So moving on. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
So moving on to the next token, we've got weakness. Is this just the next thing Cad Bane needs to make him even more overpowered.
I was just about to say that. I see -1/-1
Yeah,
with a leader that has a hard time finishing 1 toughness.
yeah.
And now, if it is widely distributed, guess who gets even better?
The best deck in the game.
Gets better.
Yeah. I mean, what we've seen with tokens is, maybe these will put onto heroic units, so CAD can't really use them effectively. I'm sure they've looked at that. I'm sure they've seen, in testing that CAD gets them down to 1 HP. This is going to be broken. But I need to see how it gets used. I mean, we've seen like kill switch being used, which is -1/-1. We've seen what was the other card I gave him -2? Was it in one of the early sets?
Incapacitate.
Yeah, and we've seen minus effects be powerful. This completely removes droid laser turret, 3 cost 2 unshielded.
It's
But
a lot of them. Leppy lookout. There's such a wide variety.
yeah, you got these decks currently in the meta that are playing one health units to get over CAD and to try and get under CAD. Sorry, but this can just completely negate that. We've got Han Solo, the 1/1 shielded. Great counters here. So there is ways. Depends how the meta shapes. Depends how Cad Bane evolves. If he does continue on being a deck that people can use legally, but this could either be really bad or really great. Depends on what people are using, what decks, what cards people are going for.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add on these tokens before we move on to the next one?
No, I like them. They play well in Magic as well. Magic does negative counters the same way, and every single time they come out, they're always good. Persistent effects are so much better than temporarily ones.
Exactly. So, moving on to one of the last sort of new introductions of this set is base traits. Now, we've seen every time that we've come up with a deck, we've just thrown a random base in that has the same color, or one that is sort of thematically, accurate to the leader that you're choosing. Now, each base that you pick matters. It all looks at the trait at the bottom. This is going to completely change draft, limited. This is going to also change Premier. It's going to completely change the way that people are playing Star Wars Unlimited. Every time I sit down with a person, I just look at the leader, don't really care about the base. But now there is all of these traits to remember on the right-hand side. There is 42 total traits that are legal. So that's from set 4 all the way to the newest set, including Intro Battle Hoth. Base traits, thoughts?
I think this is a very good step in the right direction, because in order to make your card game even better, you should be using every part of the cow. You need to be using everything: the base, the leader, the units, the resource. Like, I love Smuggle for that reason.
Yeah.
And I've been just at a quick search. The 4 bases that stand out the most: Colossus, Data Vault, Tarkin Town, and ECL. They all have their own fairly unique base trait, like Scarif for Data Vault, Castellan for Colossus, and if that comes up, that'll be even amazing for those bases. But I have a feeling FFG have purposely done that so it doesn't line up, and you have to play ones like 30 HP Tatooine to get these benefits. Because if we overly incentivize already good bases, it'll kind of just double down on why they're so good. I'm looking forward to this expanding the base pool, and where it's saying, hey, I want to play a 30, so I don't have to play 10 more cards or have one less card, and it actually makes sense for the cards I'm playing. So I think it's a really good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, you see new bases coming out, rare ones that are just completely useless in the current meta. You see splash bases, which I really love as a concept, but currently are not really being used because of the meta that we're in. Maybe this is now going to force some people to play them. I really love to see this. I think this is great. I feel like this is going to, again, make deck building harder, as hard as it currently is for me. This ad now is a completely different concept to it. But one of the main things I feel like it's going to completely change is limited. Looking at sealed, looking at draft. How do you feel like they're going to, Because obviously in draft, or unlimited, you have access to every single base in the game. Do you feel like that's going to still be the same thing?
There's there's not a chance. They can't do that. That's too powerful. So they're probably going to have to add a phase to the Homeworlds draft where you do a leader draft, a base draft, and then your regular draft.
Hmm.
That's going to be because you can't have a set that's base dependent and say, "Hey, I need a Tatooine blue or a this green," but that's going to be weird. I need to see the rule set on it because if you draft a leader and a base and your colors don't line up that way, man, you're going to be in for a rough day.
Yeah. I mean, draft in itself is stressful. This is going to make it even more stressful, but also is probably going to make it a little bit easier as well because you can see people to your right. Oh, they're going to be on. When you see the cards, blue's really
Mhm.
strong. Oh, they're going to be on blue. They're going to be on green. So you can sort of have an idea even more of what people are going to be drafting, but it's still going to be really weird.
Yeah.
Um,
There's an analog to this actually. I bring it back to Magic a lot. If any of our Magic players in the video have played Magic and saw Snowlands, it's the exact same thing as a basic, but it's a different land type. It worked the same way in a draft format there. These Snowlands you actually drafted while playing, while doing your draft, and they fueled card synergies that you needed to specifically go out of your way to pick these up. And I loved what
mm,
it did in those formats because it added when do I start drafting my lands? When do I start drafting my cards? When do I start drafting my bombs? It might be that way. You might actually have these sit in the pack and you draft this at any time. Like, let's say I need a Dune Sea. I'm going to use my pick on a Dune Sea instead of an uncommon. And maybe that could be how they do it instead of doing another round of draft.
Possibly,
Maybe.
yeah. I mean, I'd love to see how they tackle this. I feel like they have to draft it, whether that be, a draft at the end. It's the last thing you do. You pick all your cards, then you pick your base, or at the start. I need to see it because I feel like this is going to either be really fun or just add into the stress that's currently there.
Yeah.
Going into the cards, we're going to look at all these sort of aspects that have been released currently. Looking at vigilance, we're looking into the Krennic, sorry, the Grand Moff Tarkin leader, all about upgrades on your base. 2 cost 1/3, 1/5. Really low statted units, but their abilities are great. When defeated, you can give a weakness token to a unit. You can trade up into a 2 HP unit. A 1/5 for 2 is really great. A big booty, so it's hard to kill, and also you can just kill it if you know save that Fortify on your.
Yep.
Another, every time you look into um, control, you always look at drawing cards. Krennic can allow you to do that. What's your thoughts on these sort of units?
I'm not impressed by all of the stat line. While 1/5 is good, I like the idea of recycling my Alliance Shield generator. If
Mm,
you play that 1/5 and you recycle your trap fields and your shield generators, I don't hate the idea of that. I'm not in love with a 3 cost 3/4, even though it does draw a card, but I like the idea of what they're going for. These are starter deck cards. They're not going to be insanely powerful, but they are pushing a narrative where upgrade your base. The units are going to support the upgrade on your base. And then when we get to the regular set cards, we might see another Vice Admiral analog where if you trigger a base upgrade, it triggers twice. Stuff like that.
mm.
It means they're showing support for this, and that's really what I'm glad on. So,
Yeah, I
and I
mean,
like actually the one on the far right the most, the Remote Scout, because I mean it's you cycle through cards, you replace it. It's a body you can trade to anything, and you just find your upgrades. So
what every time a new set comes out, when there's new mechanics and there's new things, we always see if there's an over support for something that's been released or an under support. And I feel like currently at the minute we have a good curve um, for this Grand Moff Tarkin to start actually coming together. As I said earlier, you
mhm.
had the Bo-Katan leader that didn't have any real early game. There was not a lot of early Mandalorian units, so that really didn't come along to start creating these bunch of Mandalorian tokens. But you know, they may not be great in terms of stats, but what they provide in terms of the when played, defeated, or an attack is definitely helping to support this new. I definitely feel like Krennic and Remote Scout is probably going to be a sort of auto include in this style of deck. But we'll see how it comes on. It's a good start currently to the releases of this sort of color set.
Agreed.
Command, looking into the Chewbacca leader, we've got probably the best 5-costed unit in the whole game. 5-cost 7/7 Overwhelm. When played, it doesn't ready during the next regroup phase, so you do get it ready on 7. But if you're using Chewbacca, if you're using this late game, you can overwhelm this, after you've played it, depending on where you are in that current state. One of the biggest things I've seen, resupply is back if you're playing with Chewbacca. 3-cost, 3/1. We've seen this stat line on Yoda's lightsaber being played a lot, with a great ability. 3-cost resupply if you can play it. Maybe there's some Chewbacca units early, like a 2-cost Chewbacca. I feel like this is going to be broken if they do that. So there's another way of ramping in this style of deck. Then the last one we've got the 5-cost 5/6. If you control another Wookiee unit or a Kashyyyk base, this unit gains Sentinel. So automatically you'll put in a Kashyyyk base in there. I'm not sure what colors they are currently. I'm not sure if they have if it's yellow or blue in Kashyyyk bases. But a 5-cost 5/6 Sentinel, pretty busted. We've seen Shin Hati being pretty popular currently. We have a 5-cost 6/6. It's one more attack. But I feel like this is good with some good units. What's your thoughts on the overstatted 5-cost?
So on the hijacked, it kind of takes me back to, of course, Eternal ECL. If you ever playing a green hero deck, you now have a 5-cost 7 power overwhelm.
Yeah.
For all of your ECL. So if you want to push any damage, you ECL this, you hit someone for like 5, kill a massive threat. Yeah, it's offline for a turn, but you're generally playing aggro anyway. So if that overwhelm damage wins you a game, great. Kind of a fringe case, but that's why mine first went. The Bowcaster, I just looked up Chewbacca's. The cheapest one is a 4-cost for both leader and non-leader. And the one actually in its color is the green-blue hero 4/4. So it's not really looking like a crazy amount of playable early Chewies, but if we do happen to get one of the rare Chewies at an early cost, this card breaks wide open. So I'd write it off now, but if we ever get a low cost one, immediately we start talking about this one. And then the final guy, I just love that stat line. 5-cost 5/6 Sentinel. Sentinel's my favorite keyword. If you ever put it on a card, I'm looking at it. So it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Chewbacca's upgrade, even if it's a 3-cost Chewbacca, or you don't need it on 2. Even just playing it on 4, deploying Chewbacca a turn early is still pretty great. You're getting 3, 4, total worth of stats. Again, hopefully you get some early Chewbaccas, but I can see this being good. Even just 3-cost 3/1. I can see being pretty great. That can go on anything. We've seen Sabine's lightsaber that and Yoda's lightsaber, I believe. That's you're stuck on a Force unit. Whereas this one, it only says non-vehicle. You can attach this to anything. You can do it to the Wookiee Rangers. You can do it to the hijack. I know you can't do it to hijack because it's non-vehicle. Apologize. But you see what I'm saying? It's more universal than these other sort of upgrades that have been coming along.
Agreed.
Going into aggression, we've got only 2 units that have been released currently in this aspect ratio. We've got Ezra Bridger. What a guy. One of my favorite characters. Star Wars universe. 4-cost 5/4, already pretty good stats. When you take initiative, you may deal 3 damage to your base, and if you do, create a beast token. Do you feel like 3 damage is worth a 3/3 unit?
For this, I think so, actually. If you are playing a deck that cares about the initiative, you play support cards, you play Blue Aces Bomber, you're supporting to keep that initiative play. You slam an Ezra, claim the initiative, pretty much bolt the opponent, and then make a token. That seems like it could force the opponent to do some really awkward plays. Because if you're
Mm.
playing Ezra and you force the opponent to claim before they get to play all the cards in their turn, like look at the CAD deck. The CAD deck needs to play a unit, ping a unit, attack with a unit, and then interact another way. That's about 3 to 4 actions per turn. Whereas if you're playing the aggro deck, you could play a Blue Aces Bomber and Grief, and then play Ezra. You've done 2 actions to their 4. Meaning, now you have to think, dude, you can't just play everything you want, or else I'm going to nug you for 3 and make a token. And that can get out of hand incredibly quickly. If you activate that twice in a game, you got full value.
Yeah, I mean, you've got other cards that just been released. The new Grogu, the 3-cost Grogu.
Yep.
You know, when you take initiative attack with a
Exactly.
unit. You know, I always, you know, you got a Zeton Moj, which you know you can claim, deal 2 damage to a unit. Or is it base? I can't remember.
It's to a player, to a base. Claim deal 5.
Yeah,
That's scary.
so you know, I can see this being pretty great. 4-cost 5/4 on its own is still really good. You don't have to do the damage as well. You know, if you're really low, you don't have to deal it. So it's got great traits: Force, Rebel, Spectre. I can see this being a staple in pretty much most of your, you know, red hero decks. Lastly, you have a 2-cost 3/2 when played. If you control another Ewok unit or an Endor base, you may do 1 damage to a base and 1 damage to an enemy unit. Thankfully, Tarkin Town isn't part of the illegal premier meta. I still feel like this is pretty great though.
I like it for limited because if you do 1 cost 3/2 is fine for limited, and I really like typal archetypes. Like Cad's Underworld theme was amazing, and it seems they're really pushing typal here because there's actually a rare that hasn't been released yet, but it's been spoiled. That's the Zam Wessel, the one who like has the traits
Yeah,
of your leader,
yeah.
and they're really forcing traits in this set, which I'm a huge fan of. And if you can activate this, 2 costs for just a ping on a unit and a base, that's just gravy. I mean, if this is the floor of what typal abilities do, I'm here for it. I want to see what they actually do with this.
I mean, already a 2-cost, you're already dealing 2 damage in total. You're then doing an extra 3 damage to something. This can trade up to 2/4s. This can help, you know, with the 1-cost shielded units. Completely remove them. And if Tarkin Town was still part of the meta, this is another unit. I mean, you can play it in Eternal as well. This is just another unit to activate the ability.
Well, you have to have a base for that, an Andor base. Tarkin Town's,
yes, sorry, you do.
I forgot the name of Tarkin Town's base. But the side note on that, I like one part on this card. It says to an enemy unit. It doesn't say ground unit. It doesn't specify, and that's my biggest gripe on this game. You have to look at what they do to see if it only hits ground or space. This hits both, which is
true.
pretty massive. Like in limited, I look at cards that say, does this go cross zone? Does this like if it has the ability to go cross zone, it gets so much better.
Yeah, I do you know what? I did not even see that. That makes it even better. But again, we're gonna have to see how the draft and bases work because you know this can be either really great or maybe you're forced if you get this as a pick one into this sort of type. But anyway, a 2-cost 3/2 on its own is still great. If you get the added bonus, it's probably one of the best 2-drops you can have in this new set currently. So going over to the last slide, we're just looking at the Cunning and Heroism cards. 3 cards. You got the Crate Dragon has made a return. It is a yellow Cunning unit now. It is an 8-cost 6/9 with Saboteur. It says while you control a Tatooine base, friendly units enter play ready, including this one. I mean, I'm lost for words. I feel like it's a legendary. It's one of the first ones we've seen, I believe. It's already good. Already to a good start. What's your thoughts on Crate Dragon or Ritual Dragon?
I am absolutely in love with this card. And if you look at the base types, I looked at the name of them, and I believe the Jabba's palette, the splash base, is actually Tatooine. So it's a blue splash base. So you could do blue, yellow, or even splash for this card, and that's your Tatooine typing. And this card is going to be lurking in the mind of every single control player, where it's like, okay, we're getting to late game. I have to play around Devastator. I have to play around Ray, and I have to play around Ritual Dragon.
Yeah.
Because if Ray comes down, I have no answer for it. If Devastator comes down and I have no answer, I'm taking 13. If the Dragon comes down, you're taking 6 no matter what, no matter your Saboteurs. And if you can't immediately remove it, I'm just going to keep playing more units than they enter ready. It's going to be an absolute must kill. And yes, it doesn't have a when played ability. Technically, the when played is it entering ready. But outside of that, if they don't remove it immediately, this is going to just absolutely kill them. It's going to be that terrifying top end that aggro decks need, where they can either cost reduce it, splash it, or find some way of either cheating it in and just hit them for that extra 6 they need. Because how many times are you playing CAD or a control deck or even like your Mando decks and you're surviving at 5 HP, 4 HP? This comes down, and then it's like, oh, I'm just so dead now.
Yeah, I mean, with you got Saboteur on top of that as well, so you can't even play a Sentinel. It just completely ignores it. You know, when we see other cards, you know, that were really great in the game, you know, we look at Triple Dark Raid, getting a unit ready. We look at Sneak Attack, getting a unit ready. All these cards were staples in that color. And yeah, I'm thinking of Lando. You know, the credit Lando deck. You can flip, you can play this, and then every bomb you play after that can just be in ready. Bo-Katan can clear your whole board, come in ready, attack for, you know, however much you do, 12 plus into base. But even if you can just get one attack, 6 cost immediately to base. Yeah.
Lando gets us on his flip turn. That's Lando's flip turn with 1 free credit up too. Yeah. So you have to deal with a Lando that's now flipped, a Ritual Dragon, and the follow-up cards with whether that's the Liberty, the Chimera, the Bo-Katan, and then all the other cards he's splashing, even the Ray for a top end. Like, I love this card. I think it should see play, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, probably one of the cards we can already feel like, can it be banned already? Because you can already see the amount of sort of combos you can do. You know, with this.
I do love our control hate.
Yeah, exactly. Lastly, we're going into the heroism units. We've got C3PO, 2 cost 2/3. When played, you may give an Ewok unit +2/+2 for the phase, and you may give a rebel unit +2/+2 for this phase. So doesn't matter if you're playing with Ewoks, doesn't matter if you're playing with rebels, you can still give one of your units +2/+2 because it doesn't say and you may give. You can, if you haven't got an Ewok, we've got a rebel, you still get +2/+2. And then a 3 cost Ewok archers, a 2/5. While you control another unit that costs 3 or less, this unit gains ambush. So of course, these are looking to, you know, be combined with each other. I'm not a fan currently. You know, I feel like a 2/5 ambush on 3 is really great. You know, when we look at limited, when we look at sort of that side of it, but I can't see these being included currently in Premiere. What do you think?
No, I like the 3PO, the fact that if you have an Ewok Rebel, I think Wicked's an Ewok Rebel. You could make a 1 cost 7/7 that kills anything, maybe, but we're kind of reaching now because you are now stuck with a kind of middling 2/3. It's got its applications. I really like how it pumps twice, but it's a little bit fringe. If you place 3PO as a pump spell, I'm a little bit more of a fan, but don't value the body. The body is not there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 2/4s have pretty much become the staple of 2-drops currently. So making it 2/3, you know, you could see this playing late on, you know, given something, you know, +4/+4 across the 2 units, or even there may be an Ewok Rebel. Who knows? There might actually be one already. I'm not sure. But they could release it, and then suddenly the, you know, C3PO becomes absolutely a beast in what you're playing. But yeah, you know, I can't see this being used. 2/5 is a good stat line, and ambush is quite nice. But again, as I said, there's most 2 costs are 4 HP currently, so it's not really going to be doing too much.
I'll play in limited, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be it. That's looking at Homeworlds. That's all the spoilers that we have so far. Is there anything that you want to cover? Anything that you want to look at? Haven't seen already?
No, I could gush for another 10 minutes about the Death Star, but that'd be another video. Yeah. I really want to build this thing. I want to play it so bad.
Yeah, you know, as I said, as soon as this comes available, as soon as the whole sort of set comes out, this is the first thing I'm building. This is the first thing I'm looking at. Probably what everyone else is going to do. Let me know in the comments if you are building the Death Star, or if there's any other leaders or base combinations from previous sets that you're currently looking at, you feel like are going to work well that we haven't covered here today. Just a reminder, if you haven't seen it already, we are giving away our DSP initiative tokens. You find us at local PQs, sectors, regionals, based in the UK, and also in America from Kyle. Whereabouts in America are you from?
I'm on the East Coast right now. I'll be
Coast.
stomping around the DC, Virginia area. I'm hitting up the Indianapolis and the Dallas PQ as well, or sector as well. So I'll probably be seeing you guys there.
Yeah. So hopefully we get these shipped off in time. So if you see him there, ask him for a token, say hello to the team. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you later. Peace.
Peace.